Alright, in this video, I'll show you how you can use the pen tool to create, subtract, and add selection for your digital painting in Photoshop or any other software you may use. Selection is one of the most powerful tools digital painting gives us. It allows us to paint in boundaries and to isolate certain parts of our illustrations, giving us more control on our paintings. There is dozens of different ways to use selection and a few different tools that can be used to create them. And I think each of them deserves their own video. Therefore, in this video, I'll concentrate only on demonstrating how to use the pen tool to make selections. Alright, first thing first, the tool itself is in the tool panel right here. And if you click on it, the shortcut for it is going to be the letter P. And if you click on it and stay on it, it's going to give you all these options that comes with it. You have the pen tool, you have the freeform pen tool, then you have the add anchor, the delete anchor, and the convert point tool. Now, those last three can be used actually with the pen tool itself. I'm going to give you a demonstration right here. So I'm going to just choose the pen tool itself, and I'm going to make a few dots on the screen. So I'm going to just click 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to close my selection. And now you can see that if I go with the pen tool over the line, a little plus is going to appear. And that tells me that I can click and add an anchor point. And if I go over the same point that I just did, now it's going to minus. Basically, if I go over the line, it's going to be a plus, over point and minus. And if I click now, it's going to take out that point. Now, the last one we had at the bottom, the convert tool, well, with the pen tool, and I'll demonstrate a little bit later, when you click and drag, it's going to create a curve as you see like this. And do this a few times, it's going to give me a more round shape. And if I press over the dot and click, it's going to take out the point as we just saw with the minus. But if I hold Alt, it's going to give me that little triangle now. And that's going to convert the point into two sharps angle basically. And if I do that everywhere, it's going to bring back to that triangle that I had earlier. Now, once you have the pen tool selected, you're going to have the menu panel right here. Now, the menu panel, you have a few options. First, you have path or shape that you can use. The difference between the two is a path will have no color inside, where a shape, you'll be able to choose the color of the fill and the stroke. So now if I were to do the same thing, I would have a green fill and stroke all around. In our use right now, we won't use this. We will use just the path as we want actually selections to work with. So I'm going to press again to the path, and that's going to be useful for me. From here, once you have the pen tool selected and you have a few dots on your screen, you're going to have option between selection. If you click on it, it's going to open this panel here. You'll be able to click OK, and it's going to make a selection, or mask. And if you're on a layer, and if you click on that, it's going to create a mask for it right here, and the shape, which will bring back your path to the actual shape. As I said, we don't want that for now. I'm going to press Ctrl Z and we'll go back to our path. Now I'm going to delete this path for now by pressing delete on the keyboard, and I'm going to show you how you can make a path. So what I'm going to try to do here is to take out the background from this illustration. What I would like to do is to paint on it, and because right now everything is flattened, I need to separate those two things together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to first click one time. Wherever I'm going to click is going to give me a straight line. But if I click and drag, it's going to give me those two handles. Here, I'll go over something a little bit more pale so you see the difference. If I click and drag, it's going to give me those two handles, and I'll be able to do curves. That's going to be really useful for me to do curves everywhere. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the beginning, click again, and drag a little bit to get the curve. Now, if I want to be able to start fresh and don't have another curve like this, what I need to do before doing my other point is press Alt and transform that anchor point into a sharp angle. So that's what I just did now. Now from here I can click on another point here, click and drag, and I can use this to just place it at the right place. I'm going to go ahead here, click again with Alt. Make sure you click on the anchor point, and then click and drag again, click and drag again. When I'm going to come to my head right here, to make the curve here, I won't have to sharpen the angle again. So what I mean is I'm going to click from here, click and drag, make the curve. So it's making the curve here. And now I'm not going to press with Alt on my anchor point right here. I'm just going to click somewhere else, and you're going to see it's going to create the curve. Why? Is because this shape is almost round, and therefore I'm able to just do this. So I'm just going to continue here. But when I'll go to this here, I'll just do it again and click and drag, click again, click, drag, click, drag, put an anchor point here, and click, 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 click. I'm going to zoom out, and then I'm just going to close my selection all around here, and you're going to see that when you get over the first point you did, it becomes a little circle. That means that it's going to close the selection. And now you have a full selection. So now that we have this, it's going to be important to make sure that all the anchor points are at the right place. And for that, you'll need the arrows. Now, when it comes to the arrows are right here, and they are used to change the different dots that we just placed, the different anchor points that we just placed. You have two arrows. If you click on it, you got the path selection tool and the direct selection tool. Now, the path one will use the whole path. So if I click on the path now, I'll be able to move the whole path as a selection. Where if I click on the white arrow, I'll be able to have control over each individual point. If I just click on the side, and then I'll be able to have a selection of each of them. If for some reason your selection is all selected like this, and you want to take the selection tool and just have this one, if it's taking the whole thing like this, it's because everything is selected. Just click on the side, click back on the actual path with the white arrow, and you'll be able to have the actual anchor point. From there, you'll be also able to have the control over each of the little handle that you get for each point, making the selection more round or more straight by moving them. So you'll be able to move each of them. In this case, I think I was pretty close already from the start. So I'm going to just Control Z. I'm pretty close of everything, so I won't have to move the anchor point, but you'll see at the beginning, this can be a little bit tricky, so you might have to go back with the right arrow and just move your dots a little bit all around. Now that I have my path at the right place, it's going to be time for me to make a selection. To make the selection, I need to go back on my pen tool. So I'm going to press on the letter P. It's going to bring back my pen tool, and it's going to bring back my menu right here. What I want to have is a selection. So I'm going to click on selection. It's going to open that little panel here. Now it's going to ask me what kind of feather radius I want. In this case, I want none. The feather radius basically is going to give me a little blur all around my selection, and I want it as sharp as possible for this. So I'm just going to click on OK, and you can let the anti-alias already clicked on. I'm going to press OK, and it's going to make a selection all around this. Now, if I want to take out the background, like I was saying, I need to invert my selection. And for that, there's two ways. You can go over Select, and then you can simply do the inverse right here. Or you can make the shortcut, which is Command-Shift-I to invert the selection. So once you have the background selected, in my case, what I would like to do is simply take it off. I could simply just press Delete, and it would just take it off like this. Or I could create a new layer and start painting maybe a different color in the background. Basically, now I have the control and I have the selection, so I won't paint over my illustration, but only on my background. And that's where selections are very powerful. Now, good thing that is fun to know, let's say that right now I have a selection and I would like to add a selection to this one. I would like maybe to take out my head, so I want to take out the jacket. For that, I will first have to take the pen tool while my selection is done, and I'm going to do it again, the path like I did. So click and just select the whole head. So now I have my selection that takes my coat, my jacket right here. And then from here, what you want to do is to subtract this one. So Either you can press on the selection here, or you can right click and take make selection right here, both of them doing the same thing. It's going to open that little panel, and there you want to change the operation by adding a selection right here. It's going to make the contour of the head right there, and therefore I'll be able to just paint on my layer now all around my head. And that's important because if you were to just keep this like this, press the selection and just choose a new selection, what it will do is the selection you just did. But as you want both of them to be together, then it's important for you to choose the right one. In this case is add selection, and I'll be able now to just fill up the selection and have only my head. Once you're done with your selection, you want to do the Command D or Control D, depending if you're on a PC or a Mac, or you can go over select and choose deselect right here. And if you deselect and you figure it out that you want the same selection, if you're doing Command Shift D, it's going to bring back the last selection that you had. So you can do you can go back one step with your selection like this. And that's it. This way you'll be able to have very precise selection with the pen tool, and you'll be able to use them for all sorts of things, from just painting to cutting parts of your illustration, depending on what you want to do. I suggest having a bit of practice. The pen tool can be tricky, so don't get discouraged at the beginning. Just have a bit of practice, and I'm sure you'll be able to master this tool in no time. And that's it for this video, guys. I hope that was useful. Let me know in the comment below this video, what is the next tool you would like for me to make a review on. I'm gonna make these videos once a week, so make sure to stay tuned, and if you have any requests, put them in the comment below this video. If you wanna make sure to not miss anything, click on the subscribe button right there, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a good day and happy painting.